What is going on, guys and gals? Brooklyn bound the Raid Scientist here with another Destiny 2 video. Today, we're going to enter the Realm of the Nine and conquer the new dungeon from Season of Arrivals, Prophecy. This dungeon is a 3-man activity that can be launched from the director at the tower. The power recommended is 1040. The final encounter scales up to 1060. My recommendation would be to be at least 1040 power to attempt, unless you're a genuine badass, as it can get quite difficult at lower powers. I'm going to walk you through the mechanics of each encounter, how to set up for success, and also where to find a few additional secret chests for more loot. Let's jump right into it. When you enter the dungeon, you'll jump into the Drifter's teleporter, and you're immediately going to be greeted by some Taken. And you're going to learn one of the main mechanics that will repeat throughout this entire dungeon. You'll notice that there are areas in this first arena, as well as in later encounters, that are in the shadows, and areas that are illuminated. When you stand in the areas that are in the shadows, there will be some subtle black Taken borders around your screen. And if you have the black Taken borders on your screen, aka you're in the darkness, then anytime you kill a knight, it'll drop dark motes. And their appearance has a black Taken effect. If you're standing in a well-lit area, the border on your screen will be white, signifying that you're in the light. Alternatively, anytime you kill a knight while you're in the light, it'll drop light motes that look like typical Gambit motes. Note that whoever has the killing blow of the knight will determine what mote type will drop. The goal of the first encounter is to unlock the doors to escape out of the tunnels. To do this, you'll need to cleanse the pools of light and dark that are visible near the big door. Once all the plates have been cleansed, the door will open and allow you to continue further. You'll repeat this multiple times to finish. To cleanse the plates, you need one person to collect 5 motes of the same type for whichever plate you need to cleanse. Each knight drops 3 motes of whatever type, so you'll need to kill 2 knights to collect the 5 motes needed. Also note that the motes have a 30-second timer, or they will expire. So you need to kill the 2 knights you need within a short time of each other. Note that if you accidentally kill the knight while standing in the wrong space, light or dark, more will spawn eventually. Once you have the 5 motes you need, your guardian will go into a third-person form, which means you can't shoot your weapons, and you need to take those motes to the platform and cleanse it by using the shoot button. Once you open the first door, you'll move into another area where you repeat this mechanic again to open another door. Opening the second door completes this encounter, and you'll be greeted by a mysterious Taken entity that'll disappear and guide you up the opening to the left. Climb the rock wall, and you'll eventually make your way to the first boss fight. This next encounter takes place on this really cool globe that'll have the outer parts rotate as you progress the fight. Subclass options will slightly depend on your power level and comfort with the mechanics. The safe choices here are Tether for Hunters for Invis and Crowd Control, Well of Radiance for Warlocks, and Bubble for Titans. These will maximize your survivability and also greatly benefit you during DPS phases. There are a few weapon choices you can go with for this encounter as well, as DPS weapons may vary as seasonal metas change. At the time of making this video, using swords is a good strategy to damage this boss. Otherwise, weapons like Anarchy and Xenophage can also do great. When the encounter starts, you'll notice that there are 2 light plates and 2 dark plates. You'll once again be collecting the motes that correspond to each plate via the Taken Knights. You have to cleanse all 4 plates to break the immunity shield on the boss to be able to damage him. I recommend using the outer portions of this area to clear adds and knights, as going in the center area for too long will leave you overwhelmed by adds, Plus, the boss wanders around the entire time, and he can be pretty lethal, so stay away from him as well. Waves of scions will continuously spawn with knights, as to give you plenty of opportunities to get the correct motes. Also note that as you kill enemies and knights, the outer portion of the arena will rotate, which changes the locations that are light and dark. So basically just don't get too comfortable in a single spot. Now, once you've cleansed all 4 plates, the boss's immunity shield will drop, giving you a fairly large DPS phase. If you're using swords to damage him, drop a bubble or a well at his feet and go to town. If you have a hunter, they can tether him to give you some time with some enhanced damage. Keep in mind that during DPS there will be adds still spawning, so if you aren't in a well or a bubble underneath him with a sword, you can stand back a little bit, or even stand up on the pillars to shoot him from a safer distance. Like I said, the DPS window is fairly long, so one phasing him is possible. However, if you don't kill him in one phase, it's fine. You just continue on and repeat the cleansing process again to bring down his shield and finish him off. Once he falls, you'll get your first chest with rewards. To move on, all players must stand in the pink center area in the arena, and you'll get teleported to the Wasteland section of the dungeon. This area is a large desert with low visibility, with taken ruins scattered around with a red glow and a ring above them. Your goal here is to follow Toland to the different ruins as he unlocks the path forward. Simply look for whichever ruins are surrounded by taken blights and enemies, and that is where you need to go. Clear the blights and the enemies that are there, and once they are gone, Toland will take off to another location. You'll go find this new location, swarming with taken, clear them out, and keep repeating until you get a notification on your screen that says the way is open. Before you move on, there is a secret chest in this area. From where you enter the wasteland from the previous encounter, you want to head straight out and slightly to the right, and you'll eventually come to some ruins that look like these on screen. They don't have a ring around them. In the middle is a crevice you can crawl into, and there is a chest. Now, to exit the wasteland, you're looking for an opening in the distance with a pink glow, like shown on screen. Travel through this trippy pink hallway until you enter the hexahedron, which is your next encounter, and is probably one of the most unique encounters in all of Destiny. You're going to be inside a living Rubik's Cube, kind of. The goal here is to activate all the plates where Toland is located by standing on them. Then, once you've activated all 6 sides, you'll get teleported to a room with some yellow bar taken phalanxes to complete the encounter. The battle area is fairly small, with taken knights and scions overwhelming you at times. Once again, if you are a lower power, I highly recommend safety supers here like Bubble, Well, and Tether, but if you are a higher level, supers like Arcstrider or Hammers or Dawnblade will do better to quickly clear adds and knights. Weapon-wise, you'll want at least one weapon to quickly take out hobgoblin snipers that will spawn up above you on the ledges. They can pretty much hit you from most cover, so taking them out is very important. Now, let me explain how to complete this encounter as simply as I can. Like a typical cube, this room has 6 sides. Each side has a round plate in the middle of it. These plates are where Toland will be located. The goal is to rotate the room so that the plate with Toland on it moves to the bottom where you can stand on it. The way this works is you'll notice that on the ground floor, there will be 4 pools of light or dark that can be cleansed, and one of them will be on each side near the walls. Whichever of these pools you cleanse is the wall that will rotate to the bottom when you rotate the cube. So, once you start, you need to look up on the walls, or even the ceiling, for Toland on one of the plates. Wherever he is located, you want to cleanse the pool of light or dark that is directly below him. You'll do this once again using the moat mechanic you've used twice already, killing the knights in the darkness or the light. When the encounter starts, waves of adds and knights and hobgoblin snipers up top will spawn. Look for Toland and identify which pool of light or dark is directly below him. Focus the adds and kill the knights to collect the motes you need to cleanse that plate. Once cleansed, finish off the adds, and then all 3 players will stand on the middle plate. You will lift up into the center, and the cube will now rotate to whichever side you cleansed, now being on the bottom, and it will say, "The realm has responded to your actions." Now, look up again to see where Toland is newly located. Make note of whichever kind of pool is directly below him again, cleanse it with the correct motes, and then stand in the center to rotate the cube again. Note, there may be a situation where Toland actually appears up on the ceiling instead of one of the walls. If this happens, you have to rotate the cube twice to get to him. So the first rotation doesn't really matter too much, because whichever way you move the cube, it'll move him from the top to any one of the walls. Then, once you've rotated him to a wall, you then need to cleanse the plate directly beneath him again to get him to rotate to the bottom as usual. Once you've cleansed all 6 sides of the hexahedron, raise up one final time and you'll get teleported into a slightly different room with some large yellow bar taken bosses. Keep your distance as they aren't too difficult to take care of from that far. Once they fall, you'll be rewarded with a chest and can continue on. To do so, head back from the way you came in, down the trippy pink hallway, back out into the wasteland area. However, this time, that mysterious taken boss will appear briefly, teleporting and guiding you to the next area. Follow him until you enter this massive area with floating platforms and ribbon-looking paths that you can ride your sparrow on. The goal is to just make it to the bottom. However, there will be Vandal snipers shooting at you, and eventually you'll get to a spot you can't continue on Sparrow. At this point, you can climb up into the large structure and continue on foot, or resummon your Sparrow to the final platform as shown on your screen. Before you get to the end, there is a hidden chest located in the final large diamond-looking structure at the bottom. Follow the path on screen to get to it. After collecting the chest, jump down to this final platform and you'll be sucked up into the final boss area. To prepare, I highly suggest running Bubble on Titans, Well of Radiance on Warlocks, and Tether on Hunters. While these will help surviving with the waves of adds in the main battle area, they will also be extremely helpful in maximizing your damage on the boss during DPS phase. Weapon-wise, bring a meta DPS weapon for sure. Xenophage, Anarchy, Wither Horde, or even Izanagi's Burden are great options for DPS at the time this video was made. I'd not recommend using a sword here, as you'll see during the boss encounter, you really don't want to get too close to him. I'd recommend a decent ad-clearing weapon as well for the waves of scions you'll encounter. A few things to note about this encounter before we get into how it works. First, the fight takes place in two different areas. The main battle arena, which is multi-sided, kind of just like the hexahedron encounter, and then the boss DPS area. It's important to note that if you don't kill the boss in one DPS phase, when you come back to the main battle arena afterwards, the room will have rotated and will be slightly different. Secondly, it's also important to note that whichever side of the room you are currently in, your Guardian's ghost will always be located in the same spot after death. It will not be located where you actually died. For example, in the first orientation in the main area, the revived ghost will always spawn at the top of the steps right where you enter the room. But in later phases, it will spawn in the middle of the room, which makes getting revives a little more risky. The goal of this encounter is to kill the Kel Echo boss. To do this, you'll start in the first room I mentioned, which has this triangular shape. In each corner will be an immune replicate of the boss who will shoot at you constantly during the fight. In front of each replicate will be a pool of light or darkness to be cleansed, and these are randomly assigned. In the center area will spawn waves of scions and knights, which you can kill to drop the motes you've probably become very familiar with at this point. As the fight begins, focus on the ads in the center as they will replicate quickly and can overwhelm you. As a general rule of thumb, every time waves of scions spawn, it's best to focus on them first before continuing with the knights and cleansing. Once the scions are dead, pick any one of the pillars of light or darkness you want to cleanse, kill the knights to collect the motes you need, and then cleanse the pools that you need. The boss in that corner that you cleansed will then despawn, and a taken ogre will spawn in place. Quickly take out the ogre, and now one of the three sides is complete. This will also give you an area of the room where you're a little safer, because up to this point, you're likely getting shot from all angles. Now you have to repeat this same mechanic for the remaining two pools of light or darkness, killing the waves of scions as you go, and clearing all three ogres that spawn after cleansing the three plates. Once all three bosses have despawned, all three ogres are dead, you will be able to start the DPS phase. However, you have some time to collect ammo, orbs of light, or even wait for a super if you want before starting it. Once you're ready, all three players will head to the middle and stand in the pink glow, and it'll teleport you down into the boss area. He will be damageable and you can start shooting him immediately. Now, here's how the damage phase works. First, the further away from the boss you are, you will start to stack a debuff called Dark Entropy, which if you get to 10 stacks, will kill you. So the basic rule of thumb here is you need to stay relatively close to the boss at all times. Second, he will launch a very large Taken Blight at you, similarly as all Taken Captain enemies do. However, this one's a little different. If you get hit by it, it will teleport you to the back of the room where you start. So getting hit by this, especially late in the DPS phase, can drastically impact the amount of damage you can do, because you will have a lot of ground to cover to get back into shooting range. You can also use the environment to block these, but make sure you stand back a little bit if you're doing so. Thirdly, the boss will slowly teleport backwards across the platforms as you damage him until he reaches the end. He'll spend about 10 to 15 seconds or so at each spot before he moves. If you're using a tether or a bubble to help your damage, I recommend timing them right when he moves to maximize their usage. While you're damaging him, hobgoblin snipers will also spawn on some of the platforms, so make sure you prioritize taking them out as well. Basically, you will follow the boss jumping from platform to platform, avoiding his attacks and hobgoblins until he reaches the end and disappears. Here's what a full DPS sequence looks like from start to finish. Once you reach the end, you will enter the pink pool and can get teleported back into the main battle area, and it will rotate so the environment will be slightly different. While this is true, the mechanics are exactly the same. Cleanse all 3 pools of light or darkness, kill all 3 ogres, and then proceed to DPS phase. Remember that, as I said earlier, the location of your Ghost Revive is placed in the middle now, so running to get reses becomes a little harder if Scions and Knights are still up. Otherwise, keep pressing on until the boss finally falls. Once he's dead, you'll be rewarded with your loot and teleported into the final chest room where the Emissary of the Nine will reward you. Congratulations, you've just finished the dungeon, Prophecy. Thank you for tuning in to another in-depth PVE guide. Please hit that thumbs up and comment below if you enjoyed the video or learned something, as it'll definitely help me continue to grow this channel and bring more Destiny content to come. I appreciate all of your support, Guardians, and until next time, best of luck.